this was not a crowd that was intimidated. They were chanting for the first time that anyone could recall hearing in English. They were chanting gay power. Where did that come from? Black power. It was the inspiration of the Black Power movement, of the struggles that were going on at that time. It didn't mean it was the same thing as the black movement. If that was true, then the black drag queens would have the exact same oppression as the white drag queens, and that wasn't true. But it's when one group of people who are oppressed rises up to fight back, it creates room in its wake for other people to say, wait, we could be fighting back too. It leads, literally, it leads the way. And so, for 3 more nights that week, thousands of people came to the village. Black Panthers, white anti-war activists, people of all sexualities and genders, because you could feel something's happening in the village. And it went from being a defensive battle to being an offensive struggle where people basically said the streets belong to the people. These are our streets. And in doing so, they were demonstrating what gay pride was going to look like. But as soon as a movement begins to emerge and shake things up, you get 2 approaches. First, you get suddenly those from on high who have never been our friends before, who come rushing up to say, wait, don't go too fast. Wait, we're going to show you how to work within the system. And they say, you know, some of these people, you don't want to associate with them in the movement. They're so angry. They're going to discredit your cause. Angry. You know, as though anger against oppression is not a clean burning fuel. They say, well, just take a group of your best educated and most articulate and most well-dressed. Well, you know, right away we should just say, that's just racist, elitist class coding. We know what that means. But they say, you know, if you could just get away from those people who are kind of bringing your struggle down, and they're bringing in all these extraneous things, you know, racism and sexism, and you don't want to mess, just gay rights now. Keep it simple. You know, just one demand, and that'll kind of trickle down, you know. But those of us who have traditionally been trickled on are not real impressed with that strategy. Because here's what happens. They say, well, we're just going to go inside and negotiate for these rights. And kind of like, don't make any noise, you know. Well, they go inside to negotiate, and you can be outside waiting and waiting and waiting, and they're not coming out. Because the next thing you know, they're the like governor's advisor to this, or they're hoping they're going to get invited to the White House, or they're on this advisory committee. They're finding more affinity with those they're sitting across the table from than the people who they left around the corner. But then there was another current that was the current I was part of that says, wait a minute, we can't throw enough people overboard to be acceptable to our enemies. All we can do is weaken the movement by doing that. I came of age in consciousness, cutting my teeth on the truth that the union movement was built on, that an injury to one is an injury to all, and that a victory for one is a victory for all. And we said, of course we're for gay rights now, but why do we have to, what do you mean all these other demands are watering that down? And like, you ever notice when somebody says that the demand against racism is watering down the demand for gay rights, it's usually a white person who's saying that. You know, somebody else's struggle is watering down theirs. No. We learned on the shop floor that if you want to have a really powerful struggle and win a contract, you've got to get everybody's grievances in that contract. Everybody's got to feel that that contract is defending their life. And then everybody has to defend everything in that contract as though it is their own life, because it is. And that's how we sometimes win. The other way, we never do. You don't automatically win by putting it all together and fighting hard for it, but it's the only way that our current felt it was possible to win. Well, when it came to the left current that I'm talking about of gay liberation, there was those who said that they just wanted it to be gay issues. And we said, what is a gay issue? What is a transgender issue? What is a lesbian issue? Where are the boundaries around it? We're talking about a population of people who are dealing with racism and trying to find a place to live and a job, who are going to jail, who are being drafted, who are disabled, who have children, who have no education and no way to go to school. We're dealing with people who have no health care, who have been prisoners, who are sick and don't have insurance. Like, what's a gay issue? We said, wherever people are struggling against a common oppressor, that's where we got to be. And I don't mean like some quid pro quo, like, well, I'll support you, but first I have to know, I have to ask you a few questions. Like, where do you stand on this and where do you stand on that? No, that's not solidarity. That's a business agreement. I'm talking about the kind of solidarity that said when it's your life that's on the line, when you're struggling, look to the left or the right, and I'll be there. I'll be there, and I will fight for your rights because your life is as precious to me as my own. And I know that if you go down and I've let that happen, then I'll know they're going to come for me too. And shame on me for not having understood that.